Hello, AP Government. So, yesterday's class, we looked at the Bill of Rights, and I was hoping that was a reminder to give you the big schematic of what was contained in the Bill of Rights. Now, this particular chapter has a lot of important precedent setting cases looking at the constitutionality of the 10 amendments. And here's some logic for you. Let's start with the First Amendment. And usually, when I ask people, what does the First Amendment contain? Most people say speech is the first thing. So let's look at that. So, the First Amendment of the Constitution: Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. So there are 5 parts to the First Amendment. So we are going to be looking at the first one here, speech. Now, there are 10 categories of speech that are not protected. And here's the list: defamation, causing panic, fighting words, incitement to crime, sedition, obscenity, offensive language, establishment of religion, slander and libel, and false or deceptive advertising. Slander: spoken, libel, written, or typed. Okay, so if you missed class, I gave some examples, and some of these examples are a little shocking, just to warn you, but it's, in the context of looking at free speech. And the question is it protected or not? Okay, so let's start off with defamation. Defamation is an act of communication that causes someone to be shamed, ridiculed, held in contempt, lowered in the estimation of the community, or to lose employment status or earnings, or otherwise suffer a damaged reputation. Such defamation is couched in defamatory language. Libel and slander are defamation as well. So here's an example. Our beloved Mr. Morrow is a nerd and is a dirty, dirty dog. Now, it's not very nice. And we all love Morrow. I love Morrow. However, if I look at this standard, is that defamation? Now, maybe he might feel shamed. He ridiculed, maybe, held in contempt, lowered in the estimation of the community. But if you call a teacher a nerd, that connotation is learned and reads a lot, might not hurt him. And a dirty, dirty dog, in and of itself, although it is not nice, it's not defamatory. Plus, in the context of this, he's my friend. He knows I'm joking around. So if it was serious, maybe it's a different standard. Okay, so that was the first limit to the First Amendment. Causing panic. Brandenburg versus Ohio limited the scope of banned speech to that which could be directed to and likely to incite imminent lawless action, like a riot. Okay, so let's look at this. It's the classic fire in a movie theater. Okay, so let's see if this would be protected by the First Amendment or not. Okay, so we have some social media from Northwest High School. That's not in Michigan. And here's people's names blacked out. I'm doing it 4th hour. Wait, are you going to shoot up the school? I'm coming for such and such. Yes. Don't come to school tomorrow if I were you. Better warn your friends. Should I head for blank first? Better hope them booze for the door work. Okay, this is not, protected First Amendment speech. This would cause a panic. High school full of people saying, oh my goodness, somebody's going to shoot up the place. That's causing a panic. So they couldn't bring this to court and say, hey, it's protected by the First Amendment. Not so much. Fighting words. So fighting words are words intentionally directed toward another person which are so venomous and so full of malice to cause the hearer to suffer emotional distress or incite them to retaliate. Okay, now this one is a bit ambiguous, and I think everybody has a line. So I'm actually going to combine 2 here. I'm actually going to combine fighting words and incitement to crime. I got a twofer here. Okay, so here's the thing. These are a couple of my old wrestlers, and I said, hey, Tony, assault Chris. Okay, so there you see Tony assaulting Chris. Chris looks like he's in a lot of pain. Okay, now here's the thing. If I say, hey, fight, okay, that's a little explicit, and, Tony would have the choice to not do that. Now, it would be difficult for him because I was his coach, but he still doesn't have to follow along with it. Now, in terms of going back to, hey, assault Chris, is that an incitement to a crime? Am I making him commit the crime? Now, he's not obviously assaulting him, but let's say he really did, and it went into a legal situation, and Tony could say, my coach told me to do it. I had to do it. I don't know. I don't know if that's going to hold legal water or not. But in this case, if I was serious Yeah, you can't do that. You can't tell people to do crimes. That would violate the First Amendment. Okay, so was I allowed that to say to him? No, it's not protected. Okay, sedition. I get this is controversial, but sedition is the crime of creating a revolt, disturbance, or violence against lawful civil authority with the intent to cause its overthrow or destruction. So I think one's fairly obvious. What happened on January 6th, 2021? I get I'm treading into some heavy political ground, so I have put the link for the whole speech to make your own decision. So the atrocities of January 6th, was the speech by President Trump seditious? Now, were the actions of the people seditious? Now, those who were, causing violence and causing vandalism and smashing windows out and whatnot, yeah, they, in fact, in the court cases that followed, vast majority are getting some pretty heavy sentences because of their seditious actions. So I'll leave that one up to you. Obscenity is tough. So for something to be obscene, here is the legal standard. One, the work appeals predominantly to prurient interest. Prurient would be gross, disgusting, no value, just kind of sick stuff, okay? Number two, that it depicts or describes sexual conduct in a patently offensive way. Now, this one's vague because if you listen to slang, there's probably 100 different ways to describe sexual congress. So, what is a patently offensive way? I am not exactly sure. And then number three, it lacks serious literary, artistic, political, or scientific value. So, here we go. There is the late, great Johnny Cash giving a big old middle finger. Now, is that obscene? Now, it's certainly not nice, but is it obscene? And maybe you might look at the context. Now, doing that at a concert hall might be different than doing that in church, right? So, but again, if you look at Johnny Cash's middle finger, is it prurient? No. Is it describing anything sexual? No. Does it lack serious literary, artistic, or scientific value? If you're giving that middle finger to somebody, it might actually have some value. It might be a form of protest. So, in this particular case, this is not obscene. Okay. Now, offensive speech is the most protected. It's very hard to cross that line because offensive speech is pretty subjective. What's offensive to one might not be offensive to others. So this next image isn't a very nice image, but the question is it offensive? Okay, so this is Fred Phelps of the Westboro Baptist Church, or as I call them, the worst human beings in the world, and he's holding these really atrocious signs. Now, believe it or not, as offensive as that is, and it is offensive, it is protected. However, these two young men who are making fun of him, that's protected as well. So to have something be um, offensive to everybody, it would have to be something pretty serious. It's pretty protected. And, that's just the way it is. So, establishment of religion. Okay, so the Establishment Clause has generally been interpreted to prohibit one, the establishment of a national religion by Congress, or two, the preference of one religion over another. Okay, so I'm going to give you a hypothetical, see whether it's protected or not. Bible study, my classroom, right after class. And remember, for God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten Son. Whoever believe in him will not perish, but have everlasting life. Okay, now the operative word here is two words, I should say, here. After class. Now, if I were to say, in lieu of class, I'm getting paid with public dollars, we're not going to learn AP government today. We're going to learn, Bible verses. Now, that would be different, okay? But after class, it's totally fine. It's totally fine. 245, if I had a Bible study, that is protected, okay? Because going back to this, I'm not making anybody follow it, and I'm not, you know, doing it during school hours. Okay, so that was that one. Slander and libel, for the sake of time, I'm not going to go through all six, but as you can see, it's a 6-step legal process to determine that. It's very involved. But here's the question: is this slander or libel? Our beloved Mr. Morrow again is a crackhead, and I sell crack to him. Well, I certainly don't want to be known as a crack dealer. If somebody were to refer to me as a crack dealer, I think I would find that slanderous or libelous. And Mr. Morrow, calling him a crackhead, that's not calling him a nerd. That's pretty serious. If we had a crack addicted teacher, that might be problematic. So if I were real about this, somebody said this about both of us, that is certainly libel. That is certainly slander. Delicious crack. Fun, fun, fun. Okay, and the 10th one, false or deceptive advertising. And in the world of the internet, a lot of this is popping up. Now, some people talk about these kind of grandiose claims. Snapple, made from the best stuff on earth. Or you go to a restaurant, greatest coffee in the world, greatest pizza in the world. That's puffing, okay? That's not exactly false advertising, because how do you ascertain it's the best coffee in the world? Okay, the best stuff on earth. What's the best stuff on earth? Whatever. So here's the last one. Doctors say Luckies are less irritating. It's the healthy choice in smoking. Okay, this is an easy one. This is absolutely false advertising. Cigarettes are not safe in any way, shape, or form. Okay, so anyway, to go full circle here, hopefully you understand the First Amendment is not unlimited. There are 10 categories of speech not protected. And in the days ahead, we're going to learn some important Supreme Court cases that decided that. But hopefully, you have an understanding of the First Amendment freedom of speech and what you can and cannot do. All right. So I appreciate you watching.